they didn't call it content back then, but I think about like public access shows from like the 90s and 80s and people who would do like live call-in shows. And like, public access is one of my wheelhouse. I think it's one of the greatest things that ever happened to humankind is just Joe Average being given access to equipment. It yields stuff like this that I think is wonderful. Another thing is, another beauty of that, and why I think the most important thing is not to be impatient, is because sometimes there are people who go in front of a camera and they have no idea what they're going to do. And they're just like one of my favorite things is there was a show called Sail Hayton that my friend Dave did. And he just sat down in a chair and turned on the cameras. People started calling in, and they'd call in and they'd say, well, what's this show about? And his answer would be, well, it's about 90 minutes. And that's not my quote. That's Dave Pruitt's quote. And so the thing about that I think is so interesting is that over time, the show evolved into being a call-in karaoke show where people would literally, he'd put the lyrics on the screen, people would call it, it's the most genius thing ever, but it evolved organically over the course of several shows. If he was impatient and in the first show said this isn't working out, it never would have gotten to that.
So there's this part of being open to the purpose of the show, or it's open to the show revealing itself over time. Like, what is this even about? Through like 4 or 5 interviews, you find out, okay, so this is what it's about, and being able to be malleable and to be able to
100%
change.
If you want a masterclass in this, watch the Chris Gethard show. But the great thing about the Chris Gethard show is it started out, Chris Gethard, he was a big person that was part of UCB theater, and this in the early 2000s, and he used to have a live variety show that he would do at the UCB theater, right? And so, excuse me. So basically what happened was he got a deal with a network to actually have it on a network. But the thing is, though, the deal fell through. And he was really depressed because he's like, I don't want to go back and do it live. I want to have a television show. So what did he do? He went to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, which is a public access show. That channel. And the great thing about this is, first of all, he's in New York. He's in Manhattan. He has all of these people. That are famous SNL people. Horatio Sands and Bobby Moynihan and H. John Benjamin. They're just coming to his public access show and sitting down and hanging out with him. But the greatest thing is when they started the show, they had no idea what they were going to do.
Yeah.
No idea what they were going to do. And then the first episode, somebody called in, and it was like a 17-year-old girl who was like, yeah, I'm just seeing your show right now, and I don't know what it is. And they're like, oh, well, cool. Well, thanks for dropping by. What's your name? Alyssa. And then the next episode when she calls in, the band has a song where they're like, checking in with Alyssa. Checking in with Alyssa. And they just kept building. The first episode, they just extended an invitation and said, hey, is there anybody out there that just wants to drop by the studio and hang out with us?
Yeah.
And this one girl took them up on it. She dropped by and she was super shy and she just sat there. They basically invited her back and she was on every episode for like 15 episodes. And when she had to leave to go to college, they had a contest to hire the new Rebecca to come in. It was, but the thing is, though, the bottom line is they started to come out with gimmicks organically. And I think that the key word that is, the other way you can fail besides being impatient is to not be open-minded. Everything that flies at you is an opportunity. Even if somebody calls in and starts to insult you, you can dig into the layers of that.
Yeah.
You can say to them, well, hold on one second. I see what you're trying to do here, but it's a Friday night at 9 p.m. Why are you calling into my show? What's going on, man? Why are you calling into my show? And they might be standoffish and be like, because you suck. And they're like, no, I get it. But, the floor is yours. What do you want to say?
So there's not taking things personally, being open and accepting of what happens and kind of folding it in, as opposed to, oh no, it has to be this way, fixed mindset. If it doesn't fit this, then it doesn't belong here. In this other way that you're talking about is more like, how do we fold in everything? How do we be accepting of anomalies and make them a cool part of the show?
Exactly. And the great thing I love about this show so much is that you're calling it Phil Phails. See, I already failed right there. There's your intro.
Yeah.
There's your intro. Don't edit that. Call it Phil Phails. That's beautiful. That's very meta. But the thing is, though, I love that you're calling it Phil Phails. See? Use the first one because it was funnier.
I'm gonna use all of them.
Use all of it.
Yeah.
But I love that you're calling that because you can set up a standard from the second that if like a truck drives by right now, that's part of the show.
Yeah.
We're failing together. And that's going to add charm. When you set a precedent, and this is a big thing about content creation, when you set a precedent from the start that it's polished, people expect it to be polished.
Yeah.
And so when you flounder from that, they're going to judge you. When you come in it with the attitude of, I'm having fun, things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
This is the human narrative, the fool's journey. They're going to expect that.
Fool's
and
journey.
they're going to jump right into it and say, oh, there's a car coming by. That's adding charm to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you just brought my attention to the fact that I forgot to shut the curtains. I normally shut those curtains,
That's
and
cool.
that's fine. We're just
I
gonna
like
leave
it.
them open.
I like it. Leave it open, baby.
Look-
Give me that Austin sunlight on me. Yeah,
let's
jazz.
do it.